Alright, now before I start this video, I just want to say that future camps that I build are going to be built further away from the lake. The reason I wanted to be right on the shoreline was because of the nice breeze that keeps the bugs down. The point of this video is to show you that even in those situations you can still camouflage your camp, but ideally you would want it much further back in the woods. So let's get to it. Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So I'm just hanging out at random undisclosed location by a lake. Built the armadillo with some silky saws, enjoying a fire by the lake, 10 meters from the lake. I wanted to talk a bit today about camouflage. I can have this fire by the lake because I know there's nobody across this part of the lake. The lake is not circular, it goes in all different directions. So I can have this fire here, and I intentionally chose this location because I know that the fire can't be seen by anybody. And it's just an exercise in concealment, crypsis as they call it in the military, trying to blend into your environment. And what I intentionally have done is I've made it far enough from the water that there's a thin buffer of trees in front of me. Just enough so that you can't see this location during the daytime. There's trees behind me, there's the armadillo, there's my campsite, which is lower than the trees. And just because there's reeds in the shallow water before it gets deep, so this allows me to conceal my camp. Now what I had to do, there was a certain part of the waterfront that wasn't blocked by trees. So what I had to do is I grabbed some trees that were growing vertically from the forest. I'm not sure why they're growing vertically, maybe they were uprooted by other trees, or maybe it's storm, blow down or something like that. But basically I took those trees, I sawed them off, and I stuck them in the ground in front of the campsite. So you can't see the campsite from the water. And I actually went out because I go and I travel back to my truck. It takes me about an hour to boat back to the truck, and I do some fishing out there as well. And I'm always going past the campsite at different distances out, because depending on the distance out, something else might stick out to the eye. If you do have a bug out campsite or a bug out location and you're trying to be discreet about it, you don't want to be seen, one of the best things you can do is scout your own area to see what's visible from a distance, because it's all good to just hope that you can't be seen, but you certainly want to make sure that you actually can't be seen if that's what your prerogative is. Now the military knows all this stuff I'm talking about. There's probably different terms for it, pattern recognition and stuff like that. But all it takes is one little piece of your visual field to be not right for you to look at it twice, and for you to maybe pay more attention to it than you otherwise would. So it's very important that you try to conceal your campsite as much as possible. And sometimes that might seem a little silly, the ways you do it. But for me, for instance, on top of the armadillo, all I have, because there's a part of it that kind of sticks out, and it's just two stumps and you can see the white of the stump. Basically all I did is I just put a little spruce bough up there. And sometimes just that little thing can cause somebody's eyes to just go right over the scene. I guess the point of what I'm trying to make here is that sometimes it just takes a little tiny thing to make yourself invisible to people who are passing by. One thing I've noticed with people who pass by in boats and quads and skidoos and all the rest of that kind of stuff, the big machinery of modern civilization, is that they're not very attentive to their peripheral. They're not very, and you can't really be, because you know, you have to focus on what's right in front of you, otherwise you risk getting yourself in an accident. But that's one of the positives of being the gray man and trying to have more primitive technology, not using chainsaws. That's why I use the silky saws, because for one, you know, it's noise discipline. So people aren't going to identify you with sound, which is probably how they're first going to be able to identify. It's not all visual, it's sound, it's smell. And my sense of smell really picks up out here. Mind you, that's more within close range. Usually around here, you're more worried about sound discipline. That's something you can use to your advantage. But if you do find yourself on one of those machines, be mindful of your surroundings when possible, because you may be just blowing right by something that, you know, is of interest and that you should know about. It's very easy to get caught up with what's right in front of you if you don't have that wide angle vision. So I'd encourage you, if you do have a bug out location or a campsite, make sure that you've scoped it out from different perspectives, because all it takes is one little thing. All it takes is one little shining flash or one little color which doesn't match the background, one little distinction between the foreground and the background, for somebody to look twice and get a little curious, and then start to look some more and look some more. And all of a sudden, they see that the spruce bough is actually blocking a massive super shelter in the woods. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Sorry you can't see me, it's a little smoky. I can't see you either. Thanks for watching. Canadian Prepper out.